So you want to make more money, maybe a nice little side hustle, or perhaps even enough cash to replace your full-time income. But here's the thing, you're lazy. You want the best possible results with the least amount of risk and effort. Well, what if there was a lazy way to make money online? This is where the four-step lazy money framework comes in. Firstly, let's get one thing straight. Lazy doesn't mean easy or get rich quick. What it really means is leverage. And when you break it down, there's really only two ways to make money. One without leverage, where you trade your time for money. In other words, the classic 9 to 5. And the other is with leverage, where your income is no longer tied to the number of hours you work. And to truly understand the lazy money framework, you need to understand the three types of leverage. The first being capital. This is where you use money to make more money by investing in assets like real estate, gold, stocks, index funds, or any asset class which generates income or has the potential to grow over time. This is usually a slow and steady game. And of course, you need money to even get started. The second type being people. This is where you multiply your output by hiring staff, outsourcing, or even through AI agents. Again, this generally requires upfront capital, along with either a startup idea or an existing product or service where you can put that extra resource to work. Then there's the third type of leverage, and the one I recommend, products which require no additional cost of replication. In simple terms, you create something once and sell it infinitely at no extra cost. Examples include YouTube videos, digital products, online tools, and software. If you're starting from zero and want the laziest path to success, then focus on products. But remember, this path isn't necessarily easy. In fact, it's more saturated than ever before. But if you get the framework right, it can be the most scalable option thanks to the power of leverage. So let's break down the four-step lazy money framework. Step 1. Solve a specific problem. Don't try to be everything to everyone. Pick one problem that you've already solved in your life, whether that's landing a high-paying job, getting jacked, growing an audience online, or learning a new instrument. It can literally be anything you have a decent amount of knowledge on. But remember, the bigger the problem, the bigger the payout. For example, helping businesses increase their revenue through SEO and digital marketing will pay very differently to teaching kids the piano. In simple terms, the reward is generally correlated to the scale of the pain point. So be realistic with your expectations and don't think every solution will produce the same results. Step 2. Speak to your younger self. Now that you've identified the problem you're going to solve, it's time to share your unique take and perspective. If you were living in the pre-internet era, the only way to do this would be going door to door or cold calling anyone who would pick up. But now you can reach anyone in the world who has a smartphone and an internet connection by using the most powerful form of leverage at our disposal. And yes, you've guessed it, it's content. And I'm not telling you to become an influencer and make dance videos on TikTok, although you can if you really want to. What I'm talking about here is the type of influence you wish your younger self had, because someone is where you once were. And if you can help them get from point A to B faster and more effectively, then there's a good chance they'll shift from being a casual viewer to a loyal fan. Which brings us to the third step. Step 3, 1,000 true fans. The biggest misconception is that you need a massive following with millions of subscribers to make anything meaningful on the internet, when in reality all you need is 1,000 true fans, a concept made famous by a guy called Kevin Kelly. Kevin's theory is that it just takes 1,000 customers to create a sustainable income. For example, let's say you were an indie rock singer with 1,000 loyal fans who were willing to pay $50 to see you perform live. That's 50,000 from one gig alone, higher than the average salary here in the UK. And because they're true fans, they'll most likely purchase additional products, like merchandise, VIP meet and greets, and anything else related to you and your music. Of course, there'll be expenses, but as a concept, this illustrates that you only need a small, loyal audience to create a full-time income. And depending on the price of the product or service you're selling, you may need to adjust this 1,000 true fans figure. For some, it might be 500. For others, it might be 3,000. And guess what? There's an entire billion-dollar industry built on the same concept. Step 4, transform, not sell. If you're still watching this video, you're probably thinking, that all makes sense, but what do I even sell? The short answer is the same thing as your content, but packaged as an exclusive and transformative offer. Here are some examples: one-to-one coaching, courses, a private community, or digital products like guides and templates. Or if you know how to code or have some capital to outsource, then a software or online tool which addresses the pain points of your loyal fan base. But ultimately, it's not so much about the medium. It's about getting someone from point A to point B. In other words, you're not selling a product. You're creating a transformation in someone's life. And if you manage to do this at scale, then you might just be onto something. But none of this is easy. It takes years to build a loyal audience. And even then, there's no guarantee of success. But with each upload, you're increasing your surface area of luck. And that's exactly what happened with me. Before this video, I had 530 subscribers. But since uploading, YouTube sent me this through the post. Now, I'm not saying I'm making Mr. Beast level money or my life has completely changed, but it's certainly nice to make videos about things I'm interested in, which hopefully others find useful too, whilst getting paid in the process. So you can either be lazy by doing nothing and continue consuming content like you always do, or you can be lazy by taking advantage of leverage and start creating to increase your surface area of luck. And to help you do that, I'm building a step-by-step blueprint on how to create videos and grow on YouTube without ever showing your face or even using your own voice. In other words, the exact same process I've used to scale from 500 to 100,000 subs. The link's in the description for those who want to start leveraging their laziness and use it to their advantage.